The world of organized crime is as fascinating as it is terrifying, with its audacious figures and audacious lifestyles. Their death often mirrors their life, extravagant and unforgettable. Nowhere is this more evident than in their final resting places, their graves. This video focuses on Boris Gazirovsky Chubarov, a businessman from Novosibirsk, and his remarkable grave that stands as a testament to his influence and legacy. Number 1. Boris Gazirovsky Chubarov. Boris Gazirovsky Chubarov carved out a name for himself through his business acumen and links with the criminal underworld. His entrepreneurial journey started with the sale of carbonated beverages, colloquially known as gazirovki in Russian, leading to his well-recognized nickname. Although not a thief-in-law, a term used for high-ranking criminals, he was a well-known authority in criminal circles. On June 13, 2004, Chubarov passed away due to liver cirrhosis. His final resting place in the Novosibirsk cemetery is a sight to behold, a monument as extraordinary as the man himself. The tombstone features a life-size depiction of Chubarov, crafted with remarkable detail that captures the essence of his formidable presence. In addition to his likeness, the tombstone also displays a meticulously sculpted Mercedes car. This choice of monument remains somewhat enigmatic. Though no direct connection is detailed in the script, it is widely believed that the Mercedes is symbolic of Chubarov's status and wealth. As a businessman who accumulated significant wealth, the luxury car serves as a tangible representation of his success and prominence. Moreover, in the criminal world where Chubarov had connections, material possessions, particularly luxury cars, are often considered status symbols. Thus, the inclusion of the Mercedes car on his grave might also indicate his association with the criminal world. Adding to the intrigue is the natural size of the car, further emphasizing the extravagance of the monument. This display of grandeur and attention to detail is a testament to Chubarov's personality and the respect he commanded among his peers and subordinates. The car's license plate on the monument holds a cryptic significance. This detail is only known to Chubarov's son and the person who commissioned the project. The license plate could contain a personal or symbolic message related to Chubarov's life or activities, adding another layer of mystery to this fascinating monument. The monument's intricate design and the significance it carries is a testament to Boris Chubarov's legacy. It stands as a symbol of his prominence in the business world and his connections in the criminal world. The monument encapsulates his life and achievements, his power and influence. Even in death, through his grave, Chubarov continues to command attention, respect, and intrigue, much like he did in his life. Chubarov's grave, with its larger-than-life representation of the man and his status, is a compelling example of how crime figures are memorialized. The remarkable monument serves as a reminder of his life, his influence, and the indelible mark he left in his domain. This blend of grandeur and mystery, of admiration and fear, is what makes the grave of Boris Gazirovsky Chubarov one of the most unusual and interesting gangster graves. Number 2. John Dillinger. John Dillinger is a name that is etched in the annals of American criminal history. He was a notorious bank robber, responsible for more than 24 bank heists, and was labeled as public enemy number 1 by the U.S. Department of Justice. Dillinger's life was the stuff of legend and lore, and his grave, located in the Crown Hill Cemetery in Indianapolis, Indiana, is no less intriguing. Dillinger was a figure who fascinated the public, both during his life and after his death. He was seen by some as a modern-day Robin Hood, who took from the rich banks during the Great Depression. Despite his criminal activities, Dillinger was known for his charm and charisma, characteristics that led many to romanticize his deeds and persona. After his death in a hail of bullets outside Chicago's Biograph Theater in 1934, Dillinger was laid to rest in Crown Hill Cemetery. His grave, marked by a simple tombstone, is a stark contrast to the extravagant and flamboyant character of the man it commemorates. The headstone bears a simple inscription of his name and life dates, a tribute that is as understated as Dillinger was audacious. However, what sets Dillinger's grave apart is not the headstone itself, but rather its history. Over the years, the headstone has been stolen numerous times by those wanting to own a piece of the infamous criminal's legacy. This frequent thievery has necessitated its replacement several times, adding an element of notoriety to Dillinger's final resting place. Visitors to the grave will also notice the extra layer of concrete and rebar that surrounds his burial plot. This was a precaution taken by Dillinger's family to protect his body from being stolen or desecrated. In an ironic twist, the notorious bank robber's grave was turned into a veritable vault to protect him in death. The constant stream of visitors to Dillinger's grave is also noteworthy. It remains a popular tourist attraction, with people from all walks of life visiting to pay their respects or simply out of curiosity. Some visitors leave behind coins, notes, and other tokens, turning the grave into a shrine of sorts, a testament to Dillinger's lasting impact on American pop culture. Number 3. Al Capone. Alphonse Gabriel Capone, or more famously known as Al Capone, was one of the most notorious gangsters in American history. His name is synonymous with the Prohibition-era crime in Chicago, a time when illegal activities like bootlegging, gambling, and prostitution were rampant. Capone's life was marked by extravagance, power, and violence, and his death and subsequent burial were no different. Al Capone's grave is situated in Mount Carmel Cemetery, Hillside, Illinois. In comparison to his ostentatious lifestyle, Capone's final resting place is remarkably modest. A simple stone slab marks the burial spot, etched with his name, the dates of his birth and death, and a cross. But the simplicity of the tombstone belies the complex and turbulent life of the man it commemorates. What makes Capone's grave truly unusual, however, is the almost constant stream of visitors it attracts. Even decades after his death, Capone's grave remains a point of fascination for many. It serves as a pilgrimage site for those interested in the era of Prohibition and the world of organized crime. The grave attracts not only locals but also tourists from around the world who visit to pay their respects, or perhaps to satiate their curiosity about the infamous gangster. These visitors often leave behind a variety of items, transforming Capone's grave into an interactive monument. Coins are frequently found scattered across the tombstone, a tradition associated with paying respects to the dead. Flowers, too, are a common sight, left by those who still remember or admire the notorious gangster. Sometimes there are less traditional offerings like cigars and bottles of alcohol, likely left as tributes to Capone's reign during Prohibition. While Al Capone's grave lacks the physical grandeur associated with many other gangster graves, the ongoing interest it generates makes it stand out. The simplicity of the grave marker contrasts starkly with Capone's larger-than-life persona and his reputation as a ruthless mob boss. Yet it is this very contradiction that seems to enhance the allure of his grave. Capone's life has been immortalized in numerous books, films, and television series, contributing to the continuing intrigue surrounding his life and death. This fascination translates into the popularity of his grave, a site that offers a tangible connection to a man who has become a legend. The regular influx of visitors and the assortment of tributes they leave behind turn Capone's grave into an ever-evolving monument. Number 4. Yakuza bosses. Japan's organized crime syndicates, known as the Yakuza, are a dark and complex underworld entity with a history that goes back centuries. Yakuza bosses, or oyabun, have been figures of fear and fascination, their lives and deaths shrouded in secrecy and respect. Their graves, like the men themselves, are remarkable, standing as testaments to their power and the enduring legacy they leave behind. Yakuza graves are located across Japan, but one of the most striking ones is in the Yanaka Cemetery in Tokyo. Here lies the final resting place of several Yakuza bosses. The graves of these crime lords are often grand and intimidating, as imposing as the men they commemorate. One of the most visited graves in the cemetery belongs to Rikuo Fujita, the fifth head of the Sumiyoshi Kai, Japan's second-largest Yakuza organization. Fujita's grave, like other Yakuza bosses, is elaborate and well-maintained, reflecting the respect they commanded in life. In sharp contrast to the understated graves of some American gangsters, Yakuza graves are characterized by large stone monuments, intricately carved with traditional Japanese symbols and the family crest, or mon. These symbols often represent qualities that the bosses admired or embodied, such as strength, loyalty, or courage. Each grave is typically maintained by the Yakuza family, keeping it clean and offering regular tributes to their former leaders. These can include incense, flowers, and sake, a traditional Japanese rice wine. These offerings are an integral part of Japanese funeral rites and are believed to help comfort the spirit of the deceased. Visiting the graves of deceased bosses is a deeply ingrained tradition in the Yakuza culture, symbolizing respect and continued loyalty to their leaders. On certain anniversaries, members of the organization gather at the cemetery for memorial ceremonies, paying their respects and reaffirming their commitment to the Yakuza's codes of conduct. However, these graves are not just visited by Yakuza members. Many of them attract curious locals and tourists, keen to catch a glimpse of this secretive world. Visitors can easily identify Yakuza graves by their size and the distinctive Yakuza crest. The graves of Yakuza bosses serve as a connection between the living and the dead, between the present and the past. They are symbols of power, respect, and tradition in a world that is as feared as it is misunderstood. The elaborate tombstones, the regular tributes, and the continued reverence they command all add to their aura of mystery and fascination. Number 5. Greg Scarpa. Greg Scarpa Sr., known as the Grim Reaper, was a feared hitman and capo in the Colombo crime family, one of the 5 families of the New York Mafia. He lived a life punctuated by violence and bloodshed, reputedly responsible for dozens of murders. His death and burial, however, tell a different story, one that juxtaposes his violent life with a sense of serenity and religiosity. Scarpa's grave, located in the Cemetery of the Resurrection in Staten Island, New York, is an unusual monument, a paradox in stone. It presents a stark contrast to his reputation as a ruthless mob enforcer. A glance at the tombstone reveals a serene scene, an image of Jesus Christ with outstretched arms flanked by 2 angels. Below this, etched in the stone, are the words, "In loving memory," followed by Scarpa's name, birth and death dates, and an inscription that reads, "He was loved by all." The sentiment inscribed on the stone stands in sharp contrast to the terror Scarpa inspired during his life. It seems to reflect more the perspective of his family and close friends, the ones who loved him despite his violent profession. This presents a fascinating dichotomy between the public perception of Scarpa and the image his family wanted to uphold. The choice of the Cemetery of the Resurrection as Scarpa's final resting place is also symbolic. The cemetery is known for its tranquil, peaceful environment, a far cry from the violent, tumultuous world Scarpa inhabited in life. The name of the cemetery itself suggests a journey towards salvation, a sentiment that is echoed in the religious imagery on Scarpa's tombstone. Interestingly, Scarpa's grave is one of the few gangster graves that display religious iconography so prominently. The images of Christ and the angels suggest a sense of redemption or a desire for forgiveness, hinting at the complex relationship Scarpa might have had with his faith. It's a poignant reminder of the paradox that often exists between personal beliefs and actions, especially in the context of organized crime. The peaceful aura of Scarpa's grave contrasts dramatically with his violent reputation, drawing visitors who are intrigued by this disconnect. Some come to pay their respects, while others, drawn by the allure of the mafia history, come to satisfy their curiosity. The grave serves as a solemn testament to a life that, despite its brutality, was not devoid of love or faith. Scarpa's grave stands out not only because of its serene ambiance and religious imagery, but also because of the enigmatic character it commemorates. It reflects the duality of a man who was both feared and loved, a man whose life was steeped in violence, yet who sought solace in faith. The tranquility of the cemetery and the peaceful imagery on the tombstone offer a stark counterpoint to the turbulent life Scarpa led. Number 6. Bonanno Crime Family Grave. In the annals of American organized crime, few names resonate as powerfully as the Bonanno crime family. One of the 5 families that dominated the New York Mafia scene, the Bonannos were instrumental in shaping the landscape of organized crime in the United States. The family's influence reached its peak under Joseph Bonanno, who led the family for over 3 decades. The Bonanno family grave offers a unique insight into this infamous crime dynasty. The Bonanno grave is situated in St. John's Cemetery in Queens, New York, an area known as the Mafia Graveyard, due to the large number of mob figures buried there. However, the Bonanno grave stands out for its scale and the number of family members it commemorates. The Bonanno plot, unlike the individual graves of many other gangsters, is a collective family monument, reflecting the familial nature of the mafia structure. The grave consists of a large stone mausoleum, a testament to the family's wealth and power. The family name is prominently displayed on the facade of the tomb, a bold assertion of their identity and legacy. The grave houses several generations of the Bonanno family, including Joseph Bonanno and his wife, Faye. It serves as a poignant reminder of the enduring nature of family ties, even in the brutal world of organized crime. Perhaps the most striking feature of the Bonanno grave is its relative simplicity. The tomb is devoid of the extravagant embellishments seen in many other gangster graves. It is a modest structure with only the family name and the names of those interred within etched onto the stone. This simplicity speaks volumes about the Bonanno family's approach to their legacy. Understated yet undeniable. The Bonanno grave draws visitors who are fascinated by the history of organized crime. It has become something of a pilgrimage site for those interested in mafia lore. Despite its simplicity, the grave emanates a sense of power and mystery that attracts the curious and the reverent alike. Its location in the mafia graveyard adds to its allure, with the proximity to other mafia figures heightening its appeal. For the Bonannos, the grave serves as a tangible connection to their family's past. The practice of visiting the grave, especially on key anniversaries, is an essential part of maintaining family traditions. This is a common practice in Italian culture, where the remembrance of ancestors is seen as crucial in preserving family identity. Number 7. Vasil Iliev. In the shadowy world of Bulgarian organized crime, few figures loom as large as Vasil Iliev. Known by the moniker The Skull, Iliev was a dominant figure in the Bulgarian mafia during the tumultuous years following the fall of communism. His grave, located in the central Sofia Cemetery in Sofia, Bulgaria, is an unusual monument that reflects his larger-than-life persona and his impact on the country's criminal landscape. Vasil Iliev's tomb is a remarkable sight. It is a grandiose marble mausoleum, styled like a mini Parthenon, complete with Doric columns and a pediment. The structure's design is inspired by Greek classical architecture, a nod to Iliev's fascination with ancient Greek culture and its emphasis on power and glory. His grave sets itself apart from the others in the cemetery with its architectural grandeur. At the center of the tomb, there's a full-sized sculpture of Iliev, rendered in white marble. The statue portrays Iliev seated in a contemplative pose, reflecting an image of introspection and calm. This portrayal contrasts sharply with the violent reputation Iliev had in life, presenting a side of him that's unexpected and intriguing. Beneath the statue, an inscription reads, "Vasil Iliev, he was a man," a seemingly simple statement that holds significant weight. It implies a narrative that extends beyond his criminal activities, hinting at his humanity, complexity, and possibly regret. This statement adds a layer of depth to the monument, inviting those who visit to see beyond Iliev's notorious persona. The grandiosity of Iliev's tomb reflects the wealth and power he accumulated in life. It's an assertion of his prominence, a physical manifestation of the legacy he left behind. The grave, like Iliev himself, does not shy away from attention. Instead, it commands it. Iliev's grave is frequently visited by those fascinated by his life and the era of Bulgarian history that he personified. Some come to pay their respects, some out of curiosity, while others come to ponder the complex and often contradictory nature of his persona. It's worth noting that the maintenance of the grave has been subject to controversy. The tomb's upkeep is believed to be financed by Iliev's former associates, a fact that has led to public debate and scrutiny. This controversy adds another layer of intrigue to Iliev's grave, further cementing its status as an unusual monument. Number 8. François Marcantoni. François Marcantoni, known as the Frenchman, was an influential figure in the French underworld. A Corsican gangster who was implicated in the infamous Markovitch affair, his life was a web of crime, intrigue, and scandal. His grave, located in the picturesque village of Albitreccia, Corsica, stands as an unusual monument that reflects his complex persona and his impact on French organized crime. Marcantoni's tomb is unlike any other in the village cemetery. A simple granite headstone marks his final resting place, inscribed with his name, birth, and death dates. A unique feature of the grave is the etching of a lion's head on the tombstone. The lion, a symbol of courage, strength, and authority, mirrors Marcantoni's image as a fearless and dominant figure in the criminal world. Beside the lion's head, a poignant phrase in Corsican is etched onto the stone. "A lion never dies, it sleeps." This expression serves a dual purpose. It highlights Marcantoni's Corsican roots and the values he embodied, and it also perpetuates his legacy, implying that his spirit continues to exert influence even after death. One of the most unique aspects of Marcantoni's grave is its location. The tranquil village cemetery in Albitreccia stands in stark contrast to the tumultuous life Marcantoni led. The serene surroundings with stunning views of the Corsican landscape offer a sense of calm and solitude, contrasting with Marcantoni's turbulent existence, marked by crime and scandal. Marcantoni's grave has become a point of interest for those intrigued by his life and the era of French history that he represents. Some come to pay their respects, some to satisfy their curiosity, while others come to contemplate the enigmatic figure that Marcantoni was. In recent years, the grave has also become a site of controversy. Local authorities have expressed concerns about the influx of visitors, arguing that it disrupts the peace and tranquility of the village. However, the grave continues to attract visitors, testament to Marcantoni's enduring influence. Marcantoni's grave, with its symbolic etchings and serene location, presents a fascinating contrast to his notorious reputation. It reflects the duality of a man who was both feared and respected, a man whose life was steeped in crime, yet who sought solace in his Corsican roots. The tranquil surroundings of the cemetery and the simple yet evocative imagery on the tombstone offer a counterpoint to the turbulent life Marcantoni led. Number 9. Frank, the Prime Minister, Costello. Frank Costello, better known as the Prime Minister of the Underworld, was one of the most influential figures in American organized crime. As the head of the Luciano crime family, now known as the Genovese family, Costello shaped the landscape of the mafia in the United States. His grave, located in the St. Michael's Cemetery in East Elmhurst, New York, is a unique monument that encapsulates his significant influence on the world of organized crime. The final resting place of Frank Costello is characterized by its elegance and simplicity. The grave is marked with a humble yet tasteful headstone made from polished granite, bearing the inscription of his name, date of birth, and date of death. The headstone's simplicity starkly contrasts with the extravagance seen in many other gangster graves, reflecting Costello's preference for subtlety over ostentation. One of the standout features of Costello's grave is the beautiful inscription engraved on the headstone, "In loving memory." This simple, heartfelt phrase presents a softer image of the notorious gangster, emphasizing his human side. It invites visitors to see beyond his criminal persona and consider the man behind the reputation. What sets Costello's grave apart from many others is not so much its physical features, but the symbolism it represents. Known for his diplomatic approach to organized crime, Costello was often seen as the mafia's statesman. His grave, devoid of flamboyance, seems to echo this persona, representing a man who valued discretion and diplomacy over force and intimidation. Costello's grave is a popular spot for those interested in the history of organized crime. Visitors often come to pay their respects, while others come out of curiosity, fascinated by the life and times of the Prime Minister of the Mafia. Its location in St. Michael's Cemetery, where many other notable figures are interred, adds to the grave's appeal and significance. Interestingly, Costello's grave has also become a point of interest for sociologists and criminologists. They view it as a cultural artifact that reflects the societal dynamics and power structures within the world of organized crime. It's seen as a physical testament to Costello's influence, standing as a symbol of a bygone era in American criminal history. Number 10. Klaas Bruinsma. Klaas Bruinsma, known as the Dominee, the Reverend, was a prominent figure in the Dutch underworld. He was a notorious drug lord who played a significant role in the European drug trade during the 70s and 80s. His grave, located in the Zorgvlied Cemetery in Amsterdam, Netherlands, is a unique monument reflecting his life and influence in the realm of organized crime. The grave of Bruinsma is characterized by its minimalistic design and reflective quality. The tombstone is a plain, dark granite slab engraved with his name, birth, and death dates. The monochromatic tombstone contrasts with the typical imagery associated with gangsters, and its austere design mirrors Bruinsma's reserved demeanor and businesslike approach to crime. One striking feature of Bruinsma's grave is the simple epitaph inscribed on the tombstone, "Peace at last." This short phrase is a powerful statement that signifies the end of Bruinsma's tumultuous life. It suggests a narrative of conflict and resolution, with death serving as the ultimate reprieve from the trials and tribulations of life. The grave's location in Zorgvlied Cemetery, a renowned graveyard known for its artistic and architecturally impressive monuments, adds an extra layer of significance. Amidst the ornate tombs and mausoleums, Bruinsma's modest grave stands out with its stark simplicity, echoing the stark realities of his life and profession. Bruinsma's grave has become a point of interest for those intrigued by his life and the era of Dutch history that he represents. Visitors come to pay their respects, while others come out of curiosity, drawn by the life and legend of the dominee. Some see the grave as a chilling reminder of the dark side of the Dutch golden age of drug trafficking. The maintenance of Bruinsma's grave has also sparked interest and debate. The responsibility of upkeep has reportedly been taken over by his former associates, a fact that has led to public scrutiny and discussions about the ethics and legality of such actions. This controversy adds another layer of intrigue to the grave, enhancing its status as an unusual monument.